He remembered that he loved me 10 years later, but I had already forgotten him. My name is Ryan Blake. I'm 32 years old. I met her while studying business at Georgia State University, Emily Carter. I was 20 years old. My dreams were in my pocket. My heart was in my hand. I made her my everything. I worked part-time jobs, worked hard, bought her gifts. I didn't share my coffee, but I split my sandwich with her. She was my girlfriend, and I trusted my best friend Ethan like a brother. That was my biggest mistake. There was 1 week left until the final exams. Something had changed in Emily. She wasn't smiling as much as she used to. Her phone was always on silent and she avoided eye contact. "I'm tired," she said. My head is full. I was understanding because I loved her. But what I didn't know was this. The understanding of a blind man is mercy for his own executioner. It was a Friday night. There was a big party on campus. Emily had gone there with Ethan. I hadn't gone. I was studying for exams. I had even prepared notes for Emily. It was 11:30 p.m. Suddenly, a sense of unease settled over me. I opened my phone and sent Emily a message. "When will you be home?" No reply came. 15 minutes passed. It felt like a fist was lodged in my throat. Ridiculous thoughts began to swirl in my head. Nothing's wrong, I told myself. Maybe she's dancing and didn't hear me. But my feet had already carried me out of the dorm and onto the path leading home. The campus was quiet. As I approached my house, I saw the lights on. I unlocked the door with my key. Inside there were shoes, Emily's heels and Ethan's boots. My heart raced. As I climbed the stairs, a sound came from above. Giggles, breathing sounds, whispers into pillows. My steps slowed. I stopped in front of the door. My hand was shaking. And then I opened the door. Time froze. Emily's back was turned to me. Ethan turned to face me. Both of them were half-dressed. The only thing in the silence was the loud, rumbling sound of my heartbeat. Our eyes met. Emily turned in panic. Ethan sat up. Emily's voice trembled. "Ryan, this is just a mistake. I swear." But I couldn't hear anything. In that moment, I was not only in our room, but also in the great silence that had fallen within my own soul. My hands went limp. The key fell to the floor. I said nothing. I closed the door gently. I felt something inside me die and collapse to the ground. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. Because in that moment I understood. True betrayal is not a sword strike. It is the silence of a heart slowly being stabbed. Ethan fell silent. Emily cried. I turned my back and walked out of the campus that night, without stopping. I walked until my feet ached. That night I changed. And those two, I never recognized them again. That night I died. But what I buried wasn't my heart. It was the old Ryan. I walked until morning. I don't remember what I ate or where I went. But I knew this. I no longer owed anyone anything. Love, loyalty, understanding. It was all over. The next morning, the campus was deserted. Even the sun on my face felt cold. I returned to my classes, but I was no longer a student. I was a calculator. It was my mind, not my heart, that was working now. Emily apologized to me over and over. She looked at me and asked, "Is there still a chance?" I only said this to her. "You killed me, Emily, and you can't love a dead person." I didn't speak to Ethan. I didn't make eye contact. I didn't hear a word from him, but I took note. I etched both their faces into my mind. I buried their voices in my memory. I began to wait quietly. Graduation came. I didn't attend the ceremony. I moved to Chicago. I won an MBA scholarship, but the real plan began there. I spent years on it, deliberately. I became rich because the power of wealth was the quietest weapon for revenge. I didn't change my name. I didn't post photos. I didn't have a social media account because I didn't want to be seen yet. 2 years later, I founded my own consulting firm. Within 3 years, I entered the technology investment field. In the 5th year, I acquired an app, EduTrack, a digital tracking and analysis platform for university campuses. Guess who became the CEO? Me. Why? Because Emily had become a teacher. Ethan was an academic advisor at a university, so I was close to both of them now, but I still didn't come forward. I just watched. Emily's marriage didn't last long. Her husband left her. Ethan was fired from his job. Reason: unethical behavior. Guess who was behind the helping hand when it came? Me. But of course, without knowing my name, Emily received scholarship support, job offers, but all of them were part of a scheme that slowly, indirectly brought her closer to me. 10 years later, when Emily appeared before me again, the man smiling at her was no coincidence. He was the throne of revenge built with cold patience by the man who had closed the door and turned his back 10 years ago. The final link in the plan was simple: to bring her to me with his own hands, and to destroy her most cherished thing, her hopes, right before my eyes, without doing anything. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is not to be loved, to be left worthless, and to not forgive. When Emily saw him in the cafe, her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't even recognize you. How you've changed." I smiled, but I felt nothing inside. I was just looking at him with a sense of duty, as if he were a shadow cast by time. Emily began to speak. "I've thought about that night for years. I still don't know how I could have done that to you." Her voice cracked. "You're my safe haven, Ryan." "I know it's too late, but maybe there's another chance." I was silent. My eyes weren't looking at hers, but at the innocence I had lost because of her in the past. The woman who had once been my world was now just a stranger. I slowly took an envelope out of my bag. I placed it on the table. "Open it." Emily opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was the note she had written years ago. "I love you, I always will," said Emily. I had added just one line below that note. "You're too late. My heart is gone." Emily fell silent, her eyes filled with tears. She began to cry. "Ryan, please, just one chance." I shook my head coldly. "I loved you. I loved you so much. But that man is gone. When you buried him, I erected his tombstone." Silence fell. The crowded cafe, but the world had stopped at that moment. She reached out to hold my hand. I pulled away. "Forgive? No, Emily, I haven't forgiven, because some things are simply unforgettable. Some pains become part of your character. And you are the pain that shaped my character." I stood up. I walked away slowly. The only thing I heard behind me was his helpless voice. "Ryan, please, come back." But I kept walking. I didn't turn back, because some doors close once and never open again. Some revenge doesn't scream. It just turns away, and that silence burns the most. How would you have ended this? Would you have confronted them and thrown everything in their face? Or would you have ended it quietly like Ryan? Write your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more emotional confrontations and cold revenge stories. Because some justice comes silently, but it destroys.